From middle school fields to pro stadiums, natural grass is becoming a thing of the past. According to the Synthetic Turf Council, as of 2012, there were over 8,000 synthetic turf sports fields in North American schools alone. You can see them in Richmond at places like Robins Stadium, St. Christopher's, and the River City Sportsplex.
How you can make fields safer.
Former Kickers goalie Ronnie Pascal has spent the better part of the last decade working in the synthetic turf industry.
It plays more like natural grass. It feels more like natural grass. There's a way to make it as safe as natural grass. So people are understanding that, and you can use it a whole lot more.
But some are also noticing a potentially lethal side effect.
Crumb rubber fields and synthetic turf fields have several health hazards.
Mount Sinai pediatrician Philip Landrigan is among the doctors now publicly voicing concern. Back in 2009, concern is what led a soccer coach at the University of Washington to begin compiling a list of athletes who had cancer. And they all had one thing in common. They played on synthetic turf for most, if not all, of their careers. That list now contains nearly 200 names. Reports such as those were enough to get the attention of Delegate Marcus Simon of Falls Church. He has sponsored a bill to halt the installation of synthetic fields at public schools and parks in Virginia.
It's a constituent request, but the constituent is my wife.
Simon's own 10-year-old son frequently plays on synthetic turf fields in Northern Virginia. At first, his bill received almost no support, but more and more people are sharing his concern.
The publicity that just from putting the bill in has raised the profile of the issue. People realize that there's a state effort going on. You know, a lot of folks think this is a problem for the EPA or for the CDC, that it's a federal issue.
And in fact, 3 federal agencies are now looking to see if there's a connection between synthetic fields and cancer. The focus lies on that crumb rubber made from discarded tires. The rubber is the surface on which the athletes actually play. Much like a natural field where they would play on the dirt, the grass is just there to hold the dirt together. When this artificial carpet is laid down, the first thing that goes on top of it is a layer of sand. Then, many layers of rubber are put on top and massaged in with giant brushes. It gives the turf not only padding, but traction for the athlete's feet. The problem comes when millions of these loose rubber pellets can come dislodged over the course of any athletic event.
Crumb rubber does have toxins in it, but those toxins are encapsulated. The only way those toxins leach out of the crumb rubber is if the crumb rubber changes state. So basically, if it's burned, if it's melted, something like that, and that never happens in synthetic turf.
For many of the chemicals that are being discussed as being a potential concern, for instance, heavy metals such as lead and arsenic, the polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, the levels of those chemicals in recycled rubber are actually very similar to the levels that you find in natural soil.
Michael Peterson is a senior toxicologist for the Gradient Corporation, which specializes in studying environmental science. He adds that while any discovery of cancer is tragic, the numbers associated with exposure to synthetic fields do not necessarily point to an epidemic.
When you look at the background rates of cancer in young people in this country, and you look at the number of soccer players in the country, you would expect almost 21,000 cases of cancer in that population. So the fact that we see 200, we don't really, that's not unexpected.
Dr. Landrigan says parents should not forbid their kids from playing on these fields, but recommends something that they should do.
Be sure to have the child shower off very completely at the end of each time they play on the field.
Meanwhile, Delegate Simon vows to continue his quest for more information.
I don't want to, have somebody come to me, a parent come to me 10 years ago saying, why didn't you all do more to stop this? All the signs were there. Why did you let this continue for so long before you finally took action?
Both Pascal and Peterson welcome any additional testing. Delegate Simon's bill was defeated by just 1 vote this past session, and he plans on reintroducing it when the General Assembly reconvenes next January. Lane Casadante, CBS 6 News.